joined in Portland by a newcomer to the Sea Dogs, Kristian Campbell. And Kristian, could you have imagined a year ago you had not yet been drafted, right? You were just looking ahead to try to figure out where your professional career was going to begin, what organization you were with. Did you have any idea that a path that would get you into the upper minors less than a year later would have been possible?
Honestly, I honestly had no idea what was gonna happen once I got drafted. But I'm really excited and really happy with where I'm at right now. The process has been great.
Well, along those lines, take us through, it's supposed to be kind of jarring to enter into professional baseball, right? Like there's supposed to be, there's supposed to be struggle. There's supposed to be, challenges of facing more consistent stuff. Like you've had one of the best years of anyone in the Red Sox minor league system. How would you describe what this year has been like, with the dominance in Greenville, the early promotion, being able to carry it over into Portland? How would you describe what's been unfolding?
There's definitely been a lot of learning and a lot of changes, even though it has all mainly been positive so far. Definitely been working on a lot of stuff. It's been a lot of trial and error, especially early in the season in Greenville. I had to kind of correct some things and try to get right. But it's all been work. It's all been, like I said, positive so far. So maybe it's a little bit harder to see that the struggle. But behind the scenes, I've definitely been working really hard to try to fix some things, clean some things up, and I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent.
I want to have an admission. Like I'm evidently a terrible evaluator. I am not good at prospect rankings. I've been in charge of it, in charge of ranking prospects in the Red Sox system for the last 10 years or so. And entering this year, I had been really impressed by your performance. I was still trying to make sense of what to make of it. I did not have you in the Red Sox top 30. I was way off, right? Like what you've done, I think, has vaulted you up pretty quickly. Did you have a sense, did you feel like you had the talent, whether at the end of last season after you made a really nice start to your pro career in Greenville, or maybe at some point in the offseason where you said, I'm going to be able to open some people's eyes to the kind of player I am?
I think that's where it started last season when I kind of came up to Greenville late into the year and played with them. That was a good start, and that kind of definitely was a little bit of a confidence boost that I could definitely play professional baseball since that was my first ever appearance. And kind of going off into the offseason just helped me work harder into the offseason, knowing that I can do this. I can keep playing and just try to be the best version of myself every day.
You went to Georgia Tech. You got to play against Teal last year at UVA, right?
Right.
How well did you know his game, and was that helpful to you? I know that you guys were only together in Greenville for 2 weeks, but was that helpful to you to have him as a teammate right off the bat?
Yeah, for sure. Because I didn't know anybody when I went to Greenville, and I think he was probably the only familiar face that I knew for a couple of weeks. And the rest of the guys I had to meet completely because I've never met them in my life before. So yeah, it was cool because we played against each other in college, but I think I knew who he was more, and I was just on the other team. But yeah, that definitely helps. He's a good guy.
He needs to work harder on his scouting reports then. He needs to know who, you were Georgia Tech's leadoff hitter. You had to be game planning for you.
Virginia's catcher, though. Yeah, he's Virginia's catcher. So, yeah, and it was KT, so everybody it was word on the street that he was one of the top players. So we always have to watch out for him when we played him.
So it is interesting, though, to think back to even last year. And like I said, you had a really good debut in Greenville last year. One that was here's a guy who's hitting a ton of line drives. He's getting on base all the time. Looks like there's, there were a couple of homers there. It wasn't that wasn't your calling card, but you came back. I saw you in spring training, and that's when I started being I did a terrible job of evaluating who Kristian Campbell is because you were hitting the ball literally as hard as anyone in the system when you were working in the cages, and then I was seeing it translate onto the field in games. You did a lot of transformative off-season work to the point where it seems like your style of play is very different than it was maybe at any point in your life. How would you describe kind of stepping back from the version of yourself that got you drafted in the 4th round? That's a good spot, right? You had to perform really well in your year at Georgia Tech. in saying I can be a different and better player, and then starting to implement those changes over the course of what is described by everyone as like the hardest working off season that anyone had in the Red Sox organization?
I would say the way I played in college and kind of before that was more of like a slash and dash type of game. I would just kind of hit and run, whatever. Not really slap hit, but like just kind of put the ball in play and run if I had to. And yeah, so when I got drafted and over this like off season and everything, I've mainly been working on just hitting the ball hard but in the air consistently, and I just been kind of flowing with that and just trying to get that down. And it's really, honestly, it's a big change. Like if you see me a year ago, 2-3 years ago, and see me now, it's totally different. So I feel like people who haven't seen me in a minute would kind of not recognize it, especially like this is the first, like, I would say 6 months I've been working on something completely different that I've never done before. And it's going good so far, but there's a lot of stuff I need to improve on still and get more consistent at. Because I got so used to my old ways that they started to get really consistent and everything, especially in college. But starting something new for the first time, I think it's going to work out good. It's just consistently just put in the work every year to, like, kind of try to perfect it the more and more I keep doing it. Because let's say I got, like, 1,000 swings one way.
Yeah.
I only got 100 swings this way so far, you know what I mean? Like not literally 100.
Yeah.
I only have like.
Because I will stop you there because like you were getting hundreds of them a day because of like the way that you were approaching it. But like that is wild to me, right? Like you're acknowledging that you are a different player than you'd ever been in your life. You had been consistent with it, like I think of it as like you can like a trust fall or something, right? Where like you're someone tells you that there's going to be someone there to catch you, but like it still takes some courage to do it.
Yeah.
How hard is it to say like this has worked for me, but I'm going to lean into fundamentally changing my swing and changing my intent with my swing in order to try to become a different player?
It was really in the cages, all that work I did in the off season. It was that the coaches, staff telling me that everything's going to be fine, just kind of encouraging me because I did fail a lot. More than I thought it was going to be, especially in spring training and stuff like that. Like when I was working on it the most for the first time against live pitching, that was tough. I don't know if anybody saw that, but it was tough. It was a tough time in spring training. But yeah, that's really the main thing. Just the coaches encouraging me to keep going with the swing and me not like kind of falling back to my old ways, even though like I'm comfortable that way.
Yeah.
Like just kind of like falling into the new ways because I think. Well, I know that's what they're saying is going to help me, propel me to be a better baseball player in the future.
How are you a better baseball player? How is this version of you in the batter's box better than the one? Why is it a better version of you?
This version, I think, is kind of unique because it's a little bit different, but it's unique. But I still, like, let's go back to college. I got the ball skills and everything, just hitting the ball, putting it in play.
And you were on everything in the strike zone. Like, you did not miss pitches that were in the zone.
Right, with my other swing that I've been doing forever. And I really want to keep that and just transform it kind of, like, to my new swing I have now. So, like, which has power. I still want to hit the balls that are in the zone specifically. Still have good swing decisions and everything. It's just trying to find the consistency of it, like I said, because this is new to me, like the whole swing and everything. So really just being consistent is really the main thing I need to work on the most, I think, right now. It's just like take a little bit from here and put a little bit over here from the past, you know what I mean? And just like don't take too much from the past and put it over here. It's just like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's definitely unique. And I think once I find the middle ground of all of it, I think it could be something special.
I mean, just to give some context to what you're doing, like not only have your numbers been just outrageous, right? Like first dominant in Greenville, that's why you got promoted really quickly. And then everyone's kind of shaking their heads like, this is a couple weeks into your time in Portland and you like people joke that you're in a slump when you're going 0 for 2, when you've like gone hitless in 2 straight at-bats and then you end up getting on base the next couple of at-bats, right? But there's even beyond that. I started hearing in spring training, like your highest career exit velocity before this year had been something like 106, and in spring training you were dropping like 114, which is like that is power hitter territory. Like, has there been an aspect of that? Like, when you started, just and I realize it's the batting cage, right? Like, it's different, as you point out. Like, the experience in game is different. Yeah. But was there a point where you were like, "Whoa, this is getting to an interesting spot"? Whether it was with exit velos or like, they project like, light kind of expected weighted on base average ex woba when you're hitting balls in the cage. Was there a part of that where you were like, "Whoa, this is pretty cool"?
Yeah, so we compete every day in the cages, and we have like leaderboards and stuff like that. And being top 2 or 3 in the leaderboards for like the week or like every day that we compete against each other, I think seeing that and seeing like kind of just how I rank out with everybody else is just like just motivation that I can do this, and this is only the start. You know what I mean? It's like my first year in pro ball, and I'm learning all these new things I've never learned before, and I'm being coached professionally for the first time ever, and I'm always open and always coachable. Like I want to be open to new things because I've never like really like had like somebody to try to change me for the better. You know what I mean? Like really focus on my swing and really change it, like want to change it for the better. So I think just seeing that, just how I rank up against other guys I've known before they even known me, like met me before. Like I've known some of these guys. I've known at least their name like since I was probably like 16, and just kind of like ranking up next to them. I think that's just motivation.